Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune, Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best of breed multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, we're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. Real Estate Success DFW. We are a podcast by agents for agents that have had a lot of success and have a story to share. And I try to have different people on, even if they're not in spaces that I focus on. I like to get other people that have had success in other areas. David Bentinck is an exact example of one of those things. So David, how are you?
Hey man, I'm doing great. Shaune, I appreciate you having me on, buddy. How you doing?
Man, I'm above average today. It's been a good day so far. So David has built a really successful business. He's not been in real estate very long. It's always exciting to have people that are kind of new to the space and have really found a niche and have found a way to really multiply their closings and sell a lot more real estate. And I'm sure David will probably tell you if there's things that he does, if he can do it, a lot of you can do it too. It's not rocket science, but you got to stay consistent and stay consistent on it and diligent and continue to follow up, with anything you do. He and I were talking and joking about the podcast. His space is expired listings, and podcasting has not been his space yet. He's done it a few episodes, didn't really take hold, but maybe he comes back to it. But he's built a very successful business in expired listings. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So David, I always start with the obvious thing. Most people, they go to high school and then maybe they go to college, maybe they don't. But most people do not dream about becoming a real estate agent when they're kids. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into real estate, and let's start with that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for the mercifully brief introduction, man. It certainly doesn't feel like I've been in the real estate space for very long, but when you look up, it kind of seems like a blur. So I've been licensed for about, in January 2026 will be my 9th year license, and it feels like a whirlwind, right? When you look up, wow, like 9 years already under my belt. Man, listen, I wasn't always the smartest kid in school, but I did try to sit next to him, right? And the funny thing about that quote is that to this day, I still try to do my best to surround myself with, the people who have the answers to some of the most challenging questions in my life. And, by no means was I ever given anything on a silver platter. My parents, worked probably 2 jobs by themselves, and they did the best to try to provide a great life for me and my brothers, my 2 older brothers. My mom comes from Mexico. She worked 2 jobs, got her college degree, and really valued, higher education, right? And that's the route that she wanted me to go. And my dad was always, working to the bone, where, I saw that their work ethics really instilled that go-getter in me. So, man, I was trying to go to school. I was trying to do the university thing. I ended up going to, community college, got my associates, knocked it out. But man, when it came to university, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I really couldn't put my finger on it. And once I finally did realize what I wanted to do, it was the business marketing route, right? Once I finally put my thumb on it, yeah, I found out that I was maybe 2 weeks shy from signing up from their program. And so here I was in college, university, and I was asking the advisor, I said, what should I do if I wanted to get out of school fast, but also have a valuable degree? What should I do? And I remember the advisor said, hey, you should do the university studies class, right? The mashed potato degree, basically where you're, putting all these different classes together and you come up with a degree. And I asked her, I said, what's the value in that? Where's that going to get me? And she said, well, if you were working in a corporate setting, this would help you move up the chain faster. And those words really stuck to me because that didn't sound interesting or appealing to me at all. And so against my own will, just kind of under the pressure from my parents, I went ahead and did that route for a little bit and just quickly realized that wasn't for me. So I actually left college. And in the background, man, I was reading a lot of self-developmental books, going through the self-improvement phase, and listening to influencers like Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, right? Gary Vee was teaching about the hustle and the grind. Grant Cardone was teaching about real estate. And so I've always had real estate in the back of my mind. And yeah, just decided then and there. I said, man, let me go get my real estate license and let me just go make a shitload of money, right? It looks easy, especially on $1 million listing. I used to watch Josh Altman, and man, he made it look really easy. Make a few phone calls and sell some $1 million properties, right? That's really what I thought. And so once I actually got my license, man, I quickly realized like I say I go through the school of hard knocks, right? Mike Tyson says, man, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, and that's exactly what happened. I got my license and nothing took off, and for the first maybe 6 months, man, I was just kind of working on my business card, working on my website, and realized like, man, I'm not getting anywhere, and almost became another statistic where agents fail like their first year, 80% of them, right? Probably even higher these days. And so shortly after there, I had a good buddy who was in a different, we were at the same brokerage, but at a different office. And he said, man, you should look in joining a team because the office I was at didn't have any teams. And so I looked into it, didn't have anything to lose, right? So I ended up joining a team, and the team actually that I joined really taught me how to run a successful real estate business, right? They taught me how to actually build it and what I needed to do on a daily basis, which was talk to new prospects every single day, follow up, set appointments, negotiate contracts, right? Just focus on the pillars that are dollar producing activities, man. And man, just been doing that ever since. And so you talked about expired listings, and that's kind of like how what the team taught you to do was like go after the expired listings, the low hanging fruit. The people who have already raised their hands and said, "Hey, I want to work with the agent and I'm already willing to pay a commission," right? That's what I was taught to do. And I feel like that prospecting grind and phase, man, really set the tone for just future opportunities, man. I feel like, that was a blessing that I was grateful that the team taught me how to prospect for business because you can translate that into different areas of your life, right? When you're prospecting on your phones, man, like even if I do an open house, right? Which I do open houses too, but I know how to prospect because of what I learned from going after expireds, right? And
Yeah, you get
so
on the phone with people you don't know, like, or trust, and you don't have a relationship with them. Just like people that come and visit you in the open houses, that's a transferable skill for sure.
yeah, absolutely, man. So, I mean, I call it, especially in this season, man, we got to become skillionaires, right? I feel like before then, before COVID, before it was easy to sell a home, I had to learn the skills to sell a house and become a fantastic agent, man. I feel like I'm super grateful for that journey where it was just a grind, man, for 2 to 3 years, just in the office every single day, even Sundays, man, and just pounding the phones, pounding the expired listings, pounding the team's database. And man, I look up 8.5 years later, and I mean, here I'm at, and it's been a super incredible journey since then.
It feels like the blue collar road to success.
100%.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the
Not in like a
bootstrapping.
demeaning way, but there's some about the work effort is not, it's not taught. Not everybody is going to have a work ethic. And you coming from a place where both your parents put in a lot of time and a lot of energy and they put in the effort, and you were shown that that's the way that you can grow a life through it. And then we start combining that with focusing our effort in areas that help us maximize our return on investment, which you were talking about. I like the pillars of where you make the most money per hour. That's really important if you want to scale and build faster and make more money per hour. Most agents, they might close one or two transactions a month, and most don't even close that many. But the ones that are peers and we have success with, they're doing a lot of the work they shouldn't be doing themselves. I like that. And then the last thing was expectations of you walked in knowing you're going to have to grind to do this, but you don't know where to put the energy. So you joined a place, which most agents do. They all get sold a bill of goods. Hey, we're going to give you leads. We have a big community. You're going to have lots of success here. They all sell a dream.
Yep.
And the reality is we're all entrepreneurs. No one's going to do it for you. And most agents don't put in the effort or set the right expectations. Most would have given up making these phone calls long before you did. But you knew the bigger picture is I see success over there. I'm going to do it because I want the same success. You know,
100%, man. I put myself in proximity to somebody who already had the results that I wanted. And he was like, hey, do this, and I'll teach you everything I know. And that's exactly what I did. And it worked.
I love it. I'm going to pivot a little bit. What about prospecting, agent referrals, and social media? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so naturally, man, after doing real estate for several years, you kind of start to build a name for yourself. You start to get established, and so, right after college, man, or after leaving college, I did real estate. So I was like 22, 23 at the time, and my whole 20s was just focused on real estate, right? It was just focused on learning my craft, and that included actually going into conferences, right? And so every conference that my brokerage had. I've been at two different brokerages now at eXp. So, but every conference that each broker I've been to have had, I would go to their conference, man, just so I can learn more about the business. Focus on learning my craft, man, and just really honing in on my skills. And man, naturally, just kind of build relationships with agents. And so, from there, build a good network of people who trust me across the country, who send me agent referrals. And I mean, even that is prospecting too, man. Even that is like, hey, I'm looking for other agents who are looking for me, who want to potentially, build and develop a relationship where we're sending referrals to one another. And so in Texas, man, we don't get a lot of people relocating out of the state, right? We get more people moving in, but kind of my value proposition is that like I'm taking really great care of their clients, and they're going to be working with me as I'm very hands-on, right? So the knowledge that I took from prospecting expires. I did that into prospecting for agents who were looking for another agent who was probably somebody who they can trust to send their partners to. And then also, man, just over time, just started posting content, man. Any and whatever content I can think of, I would post, right? It could be me talking about the market, could be I don't really do the house tours these days, but it for the most part is me just posting closings, just kind of edifying yourself and giving you that status like, hey, David's actually closing and this is what he does. And that kind of keeps you on top of mind for your clients. And so I feel like a combination of that just compounds into repeat clients, agent referrals. I get, agents all the time asking like, hey, I've got this client in Dallas. Are you open to another referral? Like, yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. So, man, I just stayed consistent with it over the past eight years, almost 9 years. And I mean, it's been incredible ever since. So I feel like all of it kind of ties into one another, right? Like the skills you learn over here, it translate over here. The skills you learn over here, you can do it over here, just like you said with the prospecting part.
Yeah, I love it. So I can definitely relate to that. I'm working on a book in Sphere, dealing with sphere of influence. And the core of it is some of the principles that you apply in working with your primary buyers and sellers that you want to stay in front of. You can still use that for agents, and nobody does that. So on my phone, I actually track primary, secondary, other, which would be like doctors, CPAs, people I don't need to add newsletters or connect with, but I need them in my phone. And then I have agents. I intentionally have a category for agents. And I share, like before we got on the call, I shared with you that I do trainings here. It's a free community, and we help other agents with their business. And there's no cost. Just come and join. I'm just trying to build a large network of people that want to have build community. And I'm prospecting you in that sense by staying in front of you and sending you texts. Well, no
Yep.
one does that with agents outside of that. And they probably think, well, they're never going to refer me anything. Or what's the likelihood of an agent in Tulsa, or maybe something a little bit more obscure, Augusta, Maine, wanting to move to Dallas, Fort Worth? Why bother try or stay in front of them? Well, that's not the right perspective or attitude. They know other agents and they know other opportunities and they know people that will move to Dallas, even if it's not their own client. Why not be top of mind? And
Yep.
there's value and opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Especially like with social media too, especially if you connecting with these agents on social media, just always put where you're at, right? Dallas, Texas, so that when something Dallas, Texas comes top of mind, you're the guy that, I call it capturing mind share, right? I want to capture the mind share of people. I want to capture the mind share of my clients. I want to capture the mind share of the agents that know, like, and trust me, or even new agents who have, potential opportunities that they're going to send to the Dallas Fort Worth area. That's my mission, right? So sometimes you'll just see me post just for the I feel like posting is a form of lead gen too, right? Just not so much directly, right? I wouldn't try to scale my business off that, right? It's more so like, hey, it's indirect, but I feel like it's moving the needle daily when it comes to social media.
Well, the objective is to be top of mind. You don't have to sell anything, just be top of mind.
Yep.
I want to talk one thing about prospecting agents. I did a podcast with Lauren Hilliard, who is pretty well known. She's a public speaker. She does a lot of trainings. She's been part of a lot of women's groups, and she's pretty high up on getting speaking tours and being headliner. But one of the things that she built her business on is actually agent referrals.
Yeah, yeah,
She
she's
closes
awesome.
75% of her transactions are agent referrals, which I would have never even thought of as a category. And what she does is she creates the tools with intention to share with other agents real easy. So when someone says, I'm looking for an agent in Dallas Fort Worth to help my buyer, she already has a predefined message ready to go to them, everything they need to know in order for them to send her a referral. And she intentionally joins every referral group she can on Facebook. Like she has made it a mantra that I'm going to connect with every agent across the US and I'll refer them opportunities as well. When I need opportunities, I'll add them into my database. They send me somebody, they're my first person I'm going to think about when they want the opportunity. And it's created 75% of our closings are on referral from other agents. So there's an opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I feel like they're a little bit more motivated, right? Because they're moving here because probably it could be for work, right? And they want to buy a home, and so more than likely they're probably selling, so they have the cash to buy. So yeah, I mean, agent referrals is a great opportunity to get business.
For me, it's a very high conversion rate. I've not lost one yet. I mean, I'll say it that way. I'm batting 100 on any ones that get referred to me or even ones that I send out to other agents across the US. So there's a high conversion rate. It's kind of like working with someone in your sphere that was handed to you from somebody. They don't normally have to interview you. You don't normally have to do a listing presentation. They'll normally just say, okay, well, if they use you, I'll use you. And it can be as simple as that. The conversion rates are really high. So it's definitely something for people to consider.
Absolutely.
What others? I think you mentioned some of the social media tactics that you utilize, and that's about just making posts, whether it's something of real content or you just want to share things going on in your life. You want to stay relevant. You want to stay top of mind. Anything else you want to share on the social media?
Yeah, I'd say, you mentioned intentionality, right? Before we jumped on, right? So just using it in social media a little bit more intentional, right? Not just like doing it for the follows and likes like that. Like for instance, I had a post go, I would say somewhat viral. It was a closing. It got like 66,000 views, bunch of comments, bunch of likes, right? From people I didn't even know. I guess for some reason it hit the algorithms and it just took off. And so, yeah, I got a couple of followers from it. I'd say probably a good 20 followers from that, right? And so a lot of them seem to be interested in real estate from what I could see on their profiles. And so I could have just naturally done nothing, right? But what I did was I actually copied that post and I sent it and I actually DM'd these people and said, hey, I saw that you liked this post. It was, and I told the story of the family and how our closing and their journey. And I said, look, I'd love to, if you're interested in buying a home, then I'd love to, be your go-to agent and show you how we did a great job for the Rivera family, right? And I actually got, struck up a couple of conversations from that, right? So just using social media intentional to build your pipeline more. Yeah, it's a great way to get leads as long as you do it a little bit more intentional. When I post listings, I go into the hashtags of the city that listing is in, and I go and see who's been posting in that city, frequently, right? Because you can go into the city as a hashtag and then look at all the posts from Plano, Texas, McKinney, Texas, Flower Mound, Texas, right? And you can actually, scroll people who've tagged Flower Mound and see who's been posting in the area a lot, right? And then if you have a listing in Flower Mound or Plano or wherever you're searching, just send them a listing like, hey, I see that you're in the area. I don't know if you live here, but I've got this great new listing. Who do you know that might be interested in this listing? Right? So we're just drumming up new opportunities to get eyes on your listing or even potential clients.
That's a really clever strategy. I've never heard that before.
Yep.
That's really clever. Where you can almost
Intentional.
reverse prospect them, and they
Absolutely.
show interest. If they're not interested, they probably know someone who is.
Yep. And
So that
maybe
is
maybe you
really
get a
cool.
follow out of it, right? Maybe you strike a conversation, right? So at the end of the day, man, it's like it's lead genning without even realizing it.
Sure. No, and just being attuned and recognizing that's an opportunity I mean, that's great for you. I mean, I don't know many that go outside. They normally fall within the rules. They don't think outside the box, but there's ways to reach people without having to sell to them. They are looking for you. So how do we get more effective in getting in front of the people that are looking for you?
Yep.
You
And I
know,
think as you're posting and as you create a social media presence of following, you're your presence become a little bit more known, right? So like if you're verified on Instagram and they see your profile, you're closing, then that kind of brings a little bit more, it edifies you in a sense like, oh, okay, this is the go-to realtor.
How do you talk to or handle sellers once you have a listing?
Man, I try to over communicate as much as I can, man. I try to love bomb the crap out of them because that's what they want, right? They want communication. Sometimes I feel like I'm having a conversation with myself in our text threads, right? So first and foremost, I ask them, hey, what's their preferred method of communication? Most times it's text, right? So if it's a husband and wife, then I'll group text them, right? And so from there, they want to hear what you're doing. I feel like if you were to just take the listing, but then I used to be the agent several years ago where it's like, hey, I'm not going to contact you until I have an update, right? Most times, especially in this market, that it's not working from what I've seen. So I try to update them with every little thing that I'm doing. Like, hey guys, we're doing this reverse prospecting. Hey guys, I just checked the reverse prospecting portal. We got 4 new likes. I'm following up with these agents. Hey guys, it's been about a week. Showing you slowing down. Let's maybe see what's happening in the next week and maybe readjust our pricing strategy. Hey guys, 2 weeks in, here's the showing time reports, right? Here's exactly what the report says we need to be doing in comparison to other properties. Set them up on a search for their neighborhood. Let them see what the neighborhood is doing. And that's just another great way to touch them. Actually, set yourself up on that search, and then when a new activity comes to your email, you send it to them. So it's like you're the one that's giving them the updates, not just an auto email. So I try to give them as much communication as possible because after years of calling expired, Shaune, the biggest complaints is my home was never marketed and I'd never heard from the guy, right? That's the biggest complaints that a seller says, right? So the marketing starts with the photos, floor plans, drone photography, and just making sure that's on point. Because first we need to sell it online first. Secondly is just over communicating, right? If you're over communicating with them, even with small things, even if it's just say, hey guys, nothing happened this weekend, no new leads, we reverse prospected, we didn't get anybody, no hits yet. Just want to give you an update. Sellers appreciate that, right? So you kind of take away their objections up front so that whether it's time for a price drop or they need to, maybe relist after 4 to 6 months that you've been on the market, they're like, damn, David's he's done a good job, right? At least that's how they feel, right? So if you make them feel like you're doing a great job, then I mean, you kind of take their objections away, and I mean, you're basically will be their agent.
That there's a lot of powerful things that you talked about. So I've been in the business so long that I remember I was vice president of human resources, and I worked a full-time job, and I had at the time 20 listings. Okay, which sounds incredible today. Definitely sounds incredible, during COVID.
Yeah.
But you would sit on houses for, sometimes a year plus, and it wasn't that unusual. It's hard to even fathom that. Imagine sellers having to go through that this time. I mean, if they go a month without hearing they got an offer or anything, they lose their mind, right? But I learned at that point that I would not be able to retain my sellers and my listings if I wasn't communicating with them and giving them some type of update. So I intentionally put on my calendar every week, I would have a phone call with them. Good news, bad news, no news. We're going to talk. And there's always news. Don't act like
Yep.
there's no news. The neighborhood's doing something. Hey, this house got listed. It's this much. This is how we compare to them. They sold. We didn't. There's always news, and you can create news. ChatGPT can create news. Have a reason to call with some type of news for them. And if you are doing that, your chances of being terminated are pretty slim
Yep.
because they're going to give you in that period, they want to give you the benefit of the doubt, right? They don't want to just fire you. They want to have a reason to fire you. And if you're not talking to them, you're giving them a reason to fire you. So we want to remove reasons why people would not want to continue a relationship with us. This is not COVID time where you could just throw stuff on the MLS and ignore your seller all the way till a contract comes in. And you could do that. You can't do that now. And I think
Yep.
you're exactly right. You're real attuned to be able to see that that's a niche and an issue that most agents don't address. And it's the number one reason agents do get fired. I'm glad that you're experienced calling expired listings, frustrated sellers, didn't get
Yep.
it sold. They let it expire so that they wouldn't have to honor the contract or have to buy them out or whatever. And it didn't work. And I love the fact that you approach them because they are not only interested in listing it and hiring an agent, but they're also interested in paying something for your services. So that's a great place to start where FISBOs, you got to overcome those objections. You got to overcome wanting to work with you, number one, and whether they even want to be paying you or whatever is a number two objection. And there's others, but I think that's a valuable opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I'm grateful for that season of, I still cold call to this day, but obviously naturally it becomes more referral based, things like that. But I'm grateful for that season of just understanding sellers in that position, just being know exactly what to do, right? When it comes to sellers, it does start from the beginning, right? It does start with setting those proper expectations, right? If you're just going in there and just taking the listing and run and just bringing comps, like, you're setting yourself up for failure as an agent. If you set the proper expectations, look at trends, look at how long other homes have been selling for, just really studying the market, you're able to have these conversations with your sellers and they see you as the market expert. So they won't even question you by no means, especially when it comes down to commission, right? So if you set the proper expectations, like 30 days and no contract, you've already set those expectations. Like, hey guys, average days on market is 95 days. So don't expect to go under contract until 95 days marker. If we're still not under contract, then we're doing something wrong.
No, I love all that. And having those hard conversations is really important. Actually, we're at the point now. I just want to hear you've got social media, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. You've talked about a lot of your posts and things that you do there. It's just David Bentinck at David Bentinck on both Instagram and Facebook, correct?
Yeah, you can find me on, really Instagram, Facebook is probably the biggest places that I'm at. It's, at David Bentinck, and my last name gets butchered all the time. It's Bentinck, David Bentinck. That's Instagram, Facebook. Love to connect with anybody who's needs, love to pick my brain, or if I can provide any more additional value or help any agent, man. That's kind of my background is when I first joined the brokers that I first was at as a solo agent, I remember just asking for help, Shaune. And I remember feeling like I was bothering some of the top tier agents and I wasn't getting any guidance, right? And so I'm a certified mentor at eXp. And I tell the story to agents like, at eXp, for people who don't know, there's a mentor program. So new agents can join eXp and get a direct assigned mentor who's been vetted by eXp, who knows the business, who can guide them for their first three transactions, right? And so I tell the story to all these agents who get assigned to me as a mentee. Look, here's my story. When I first started out, the agents who were above me, they made me feel like I was bothering them with questions, right? And I never want to make anybody feel like that. So if there's anybody that I can help by any means, anybody can reach out to me on social media. I'm sure you're going to have my contact information here. So just happy to be, happy to help and just be a light in this community.
I love that. And Mike could talk extensively about the difference of an approach that people have with the agency. Even there's a lot of benefits in building a community within a local big box agency, but there's also a lot of feeling of competition. You're both shopping in the same neighborhoods. So anything I share and do, I don't want you doing because I'm in the same neighborhood. You and I, David, we're in the same brokerage, but I feel no competition with you and I want to help you grow your business. So I like the collaboration. The downside
Yeah.
is because we're cloud-based, community is a lot harder to build. That's why I've been intentional about the community aspect. I want to invite people out and I want to share with them. And you've been very transparent on the Zoom and being transparent about helping other agents. That's a high value proposition that I offer is why I love that. That's exciting. I want more agents like that. At the end of the day, it's very, very, very rare that you and I are in any space that we have the same sphere or the same agents that we're talking with or whatever it is. It's almost impossible. So stop looking at other agents as competition. And not to mention, I can teach you everything that I'm doing, and you're never going to be me. And the same thing with you, David. Tell me everything that you're doing. I'm going to take some of the stuff that you're teaching and sharing. I've taken a couple of them. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
but I can't be
Keeping old dog
David.
new tricks, huh?
Yeah. I can't be David Bentek. So I just wish that other people would adopt that because I think it'd be beneficial and it would change, the mindset and the way realtors work together. Stop thinking of them as competition.
I've never had that mindset, man. I've always had like a abundance, thankfully, a grateful mindset, man. Every morning I practice gratitude, and I really feel like that sets the tone for the day. So when like even bad shit happens, man, it rolls off, bro. I'm always smiling. I'm a goofy guy. I'm, kind of, easy go lucky, right? So I mean, I've never really had that mindset, and as soon as I, came from an abundance mindset, but also had like kind of servant's heart, man, everything changed. And me acting like that actually attracts those right people into my life.
Yeah, no, it does. And it's done well for me after I made that conversion. Probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I decided I wanted to start giving more and more back. And then I set up the podcast, and then I set up the Facebook group. And then I even have a platform on school that a lot of education stuff I provide to agents as well. It's going to return somehow, some way. And I don't know how or what, but I think if you continue to give, more people will be willing to give back, and they'll give beyond what you expect. It's hard for people to give beyond your expect if you don't give at all. But now you give them the freedom to do that, and you'll be surprised on, the repercussion or how it comes back. It's going to be incredible. Hey, we've got to wrap up. We ran the entire time, man. You had a lot of good information, David, for sharing. We're going to have your contact information, some ways to connect with you down below. And for those of you that are watching the podcast and you enjoy the content, all I ask is just subscribe. I'm going to continue to bring successful agents like David Bentinck to the podcast. And if you want to join our group or join my school community, I'll make some ways and easy ways for you to do that as well. So until next week, have a high performance week. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success BFW. Have a high performance week.